So today's video is going to be another unsolved true crime case. I know I've been doing quite a few unsolved ones recently, so I hope I'm like pleasing everyone with that. Because I know some people prefer unsolved cases, some people prefer solved, so I like to do a bit of a mixture of both. Today we are going to be talking about a girl named Lauren Agee, and this case was actually suggested to me by one of my channel members named Leah, so thank you so much, Leah. If you want to become a member of my channel, you can just click the link in the description and you basically get a bunch of perks, including that you can suggest cases to me. I mean, I take suggestions from anyone and everyone, but my channel members get their requests kind of fast-tracked, obviously. A couple more things before I get into the video. I promise I'll keep this quick. One, I'm sorry for that kind of unexplained break that I just had. I had like a week off YouTube without telling anyone. I didn't really mean to take a break, I don't think. I don't know, but I needed it. I feel so much better after that. But yeah, we are back on track with the uploads now, so don't worry about that. I'm sorry about that as well. Number two, before we get into the video, I am going to be doing some Christmas giveaways on my Twitter and on my Instagram. They're both on screen right now, so make sure you follow in both, because I'm not going to tell you when they're going to be or whatever. You just need to make sure that you're following both. I bought a bunch of makeup to give away, so I'm going to be doing like little random makeup giveaways on both of them, but then I realised not everyone wears makeup, and that was stupid of me to just buy makeup. So I'm also going to do a couple of giveaways where I'll just kind of tweet, or I'll put an Instagram post saying comment down below something that you want for Christmas, and then I'm going to put them all into like a random generator and pick one of you out and buy you that thing that you wanted for Christmas. So if you don't wear makeup, don't worry, you can still join in the giveaways. It was stupid of me to just buy makeup, but I get excited buying makeup, I'm sorry. So yeah, make sure you're following me on both Twitter and on Instagram for those giveaways. Up until Christmas, I'm going to be doing a bunch. I don't know how many, but there's going to be a bunch of them. But yeah, all of that being said, I'm so sorry about that really long intro. Let's get into the video. Quickly before I do, I just want to give my usual disclaimer that I mean absolutely no disrespect to anyone that I talk about in this video. This video is for educational purposes, and everything that I say in this is just information that I have found on the internet and I'm compiling into one video. So Lauren Taylor Agee was a 21-year-old girl born on August 19th, 1993 in Biloxi in Mississippi. She lived with her mother Sherry and stepfather Michael in Tennessee, along with her three siblings Allison, Jordan and Joshua. Lauren's friends describe her as very funny, bubbly, quick-witted. She was very lively, always singing and dancing and laughing. Her mother Sherry described her as full of sugar and a little bit of spice. She lit up every room she entered with her sweet spirit, infectious energy, enchanting smile and disarming dimples. Simply put, she was beautiful and hilarious. Lauren's main passions were dance and sports. She had a bunch of gymnastics medals from when she was younger. She always used to copy music video dances and recreate them in the living room. She even starred in a music video once when she was older. She even received a dance scholarship for university, but ended up turning that down to study criminal justice. Lauren had tons of friends. She had a boyfriend, an active social life, and just a really bright future. But all of that changed in July of 2015. Lauren's friend Hannah Palmer asked Lauren to attend a festival named Wakefest that summer, which was basically a water sports festival where they would do wakeboarding all during the day and then get drunk during the night. So Lauren told her mother Sherry that Hannah had invited her to this festival, and immediately Sherry just kind of had a bad feeling about this. Sherry didn't really think that Hannah Palmer was the best of friends for Lauren. She would just kind of pick Lauren up and drop her whenever she needed. Like, as soon as Hannah got a boyfriend, she'd forget that Lauren even existed. Hannah never really spent time with Lauren unless it benefited her. Like, if she was bored, she'd call Lauren, but other than that, she wouldn't bother with her. But at the end of the day, if Lauren was happy, Sherry was happy. And so she let Lauren plan to stay in a cabin with Hannah for Wakefest. But before Lauren left, Sherry's bad feeling kicked in again, and she made Lauren come back and hug her one extra time because she felt so worried. She squeezed Lauren extra tight, told her to be careful once again, and then let her go to Wakefest. And that was the last time she ever saw her daughter alive. So on Friday, July 24th, 2015, Hannah and Lauren set off to Wakefest. The whole time they were posting on social media about how excited they were, how much fun the festival was going to be. So once the girls got to Wakefest, they met up with two boys. One named Aaron Lilly, who was Hannah Palmer's new boyfriend, and Aaron's friend Chris Stout, who Lauren had actually never met before. So the four of them spent the day drinking, watching the water sports and cliff diving, although the cliff diving wasn't very well regulated. There were some rocks below, obviously the visible rocks people would avoid jumping on. However, there were rocks that were more hidden whenever the waves would crash over them. So everyone was jumping off fine, landing in the water, and then it came to Lauren's go to jump down. And she obviously avoided all the visible rocks underneath her. But when Lauren went to make her jump, another rock became visible. But at that point it was too late and she fell into the water and hit the back of her head on this rock. Lauren was kind of out of it for a second. Her friends thought that she maybe had a concussion, maybe she passed out for a couple of seconds. But after that she was fine and the day carried on. That little story doesn't really have much to do with the case overall. I just kind of thought I'd tell you it just so that you could get an idea of how bad the regulations and supervision was at this place. So anyway, that night all four of them went drinking, Lauren, Hannah, Aaron and Chris, and they said that Lauren just seemed completely better, like she just kind of bumped her head, she had a moment, and then she was completely over it. And then at around 2 AM they decided to call it a night with the drinking and they were going to go to bed. And that was when Lauren realised that plans had changed for where they were going to stay that night. Up until now, Lauren had been thinking that they were just going to stay in a cabin, all four of them, because this festival had cabins that you could like rent out. But it was then that Hannah told Lauren that they were actually going to camp outside on this kind of higher piece of land that was across the river. This piece of land kind of like jutted out into the middle of the river where all the water sports would take place during the day, and it wasn't like an official place to camp for Wakefest. However, people would camp there every year and Wakefest knew that people camped there, but it just wasn't an official piece of their land. And obviously because it's not an official piece of land, there is nothing to deter people from camping there because Wakefest has no responsibility over that. There's no signs, there's no fencing, there is absolutely no safety regulations on this piece of land because obviously it's not their responsibility, although they really should be, because the highest drop from this piece of land is 90 feet. So when Lauren found out about these new sleeping arrangements, she was not very happy. She didn't want to stay there. And so she began running around these bars, like where they were drinking that night, trying to find someone else she knew to ask if she could stay with them. She found an old friend from high school named Cassie Franks, who was actually a regular attendee of Wakefest. She'd been for a few years in a row now. And a couple of years before this, Cassie had been to Wakefest and actually camped in the area where Lauren was supposed to be camping on this piece of land. And Cassie said she hated camping there. She felt unsafe the whole time. She said she'd never camp there again. She was always just going to get a lodge from then on. Obviously, the only way to be able to get to this piece of land, because it's across the river, is by canoe, and they would have to do that blackout drunk every night. And then once you get to this piece of land, it is a really steep walk up the side of this hill, which again is unregulated. There's no safety, there's no paths or anything like that. And obviously no one's wearing very good footwear at this festival. Everyone's just kind of wearing flip-flops or whatever. No one's taking walking boots to a water sports festival. So as you're kind of walking up the side of this really steep piece of land, there's like rocks falling down and pieces of earth giving way underneath you. It's so unsafe. Guests of the festival in the past have gone and tied up a piece of rope which remains there for over the years. Like, this rope never moves now. They tied it to several trees just so that when you're walking up it in the dark and you're like drunk and everything, you can hold on to this rope and it helps you stay upright and not fall back down. But just imagine how many people must have fallen down it in the first place for them to even think to put up that rope. And that was done by guests as well, not by any kind of festival officials. And then once you're at the top of this piece of land, you can either camp, as most people do, just on ground in a tent, or you can do what the braver ones do and sleep in a hammock suspended over that 90-foot drop. Literally the only thing keeping these hammocks up was a piece of string on either side, but obviously if one of those pieces of string breaks, you are falling straight down that 90 feet drop. And Lauren knew that she'd be sleeping like that night and she did not want to. And so she tried asking Cassie if she could go back with them and stay in their lodge, but Cassie said that it was full. So anyway, around 2 a.m. on the morning of July 25th, 2015, all four of them, Hannah, Lauren, Aaron and Chris, set off back to this ledge where they were staying. The sleeping arrangements were that Hannah and her new boyfriend Aaron were going to stay in a two-man tent on the land, and Chris and Lauren were going to sleep in a hammock together that was suspended over the edge. Which, them sleeping in the same hammock has confused a lot of people that look into this case, because it was clear that Lauren wasn't really interested in Chris. Lauren, if you remember, I said right at the beginning, she had her own boyfriend back at home away from Wakefest. She wasn't looking for anyone else. And other people have confirmed that, like people that saw her at Wakefest said that she wasn't overly friendly with Chris, like they were acting just like friends. There's apparently a video from that night, and I say apparently because I personally haven't seen this video, I can't find it anywhere. But in this video, they're in a bar, someone is videoing Lauren and Chris walks by and Lauren makes this kind of comically disgusted face at Chris. Obviously to some extent this face was like joking and exaggerated, but a lot of people said that she just wasn't into Chris like that. Cassie says that Lauren was more just kind of Hannah's wingman. She was there like just to kind of get Chris away from Hannah and Aaron so that they could have some like alone time. So anyway, the four of them go up to that ledge, they go to bed in those sleeping arrangements, and the next morning when they wake up, Lauren Agee is gone. Hannah and the boys claimed that they just thought that Lauren had gone down to the festival by herself. Maybe she'd woken up early, didn't want to wake the rest of them up, and just started her day before the rest of them did. And so the three of them didn't make a fuss, they weren't concerned, they didn't tell anyone that Lauren was missing because they thought she was just down at the festival. But still, as the day went on and as the three of them were going to different bars and different water sports events, they weren't seeing Lauren anywhere. They spoke to a couple of her other friends like Cassie and people that Lauren knew at the festival, just saying like, have you seen Lauren at all today? And no one had seen her at all at the festival. And then around 4:30 p.m. that day, two fishermen were out named Dina and Harry Elder when they noticed what looked like pink shorts in the water. On closer inspection, they went over to look at these shorts and found it to be a dead body. Lauren Agee's body. And right from the off, Harry said that he had a really bad feeling about this. He didn't touch Lauren's body, he didn't check to see if she was alive or anything, he just assumed that she was dead. And so the two of them, without touching her, went and got police. Lauren's body was laying face down and kind of in a cove in the land, so not somewhere where she could have fallen herself. And had she fallen anywhere else, the current of the water was actually going the opposite way that day, meaning that it wouldn't have carried her there anywhere. And this leads some people to theorise that maybe Lauren was killed and then taken to that cove intentionally, which is a theory that we'll talk about later. There are pictures online, like evidence photos of Lauren's body in the water, but I'm not going to be putting them in this video. I will be showing you photos of her injuries, which I'm going to talk about in a second. So just a warning in case you don't want to see those photos. But those are kind of more close up, but I'm not going to be showing you the pictures of her body just laying in the water. Just out of respect for her and her family, I don't think that's necessary. So the two policemen, Dina and Harry Elder, all went back out to the body, Dina and Harry showing these policemen where it was. And at this point, those four people were the only people that knew that there was a body in the water. But before they could even get to Lauren's body, they actually encountered a man paddling in a canoe in the same direction that they were going, towards the body. And so they told him to stop and turn around and go away. To which this man told police, but that could be one of our friends over there. This man in the canoe turned out to be Aaron Lilly, Hannah Palmer's boyfriend. But like I said, those two policemen and the two fishermen, Harry and Dina, were the only people that knew that there was a body. This hadn't been broadcasted to the festival, it wasn't public news yet, the police hadn't even seen the body yet. So how did Aaron know that there was a body over there? First of all, how did he know there was a body there? But presuming that he did somehow know, maybe someone told him on land, maybe someone else knew, maybe someone had seen it, why did he assume that it was Lauren? And why was he trying to get to it before police? So Lauren's body was removed from the water and taken for an autopsy, and this is where things just get even more suspicious. There were marks on the top of her back and on her shoulders from kind of bruising, very early bruising where it's kind of bloody. It looks like blood underneath the skin. But not only that, not only on her back and shoulders, there also seemed to be some of this blood bruising on Lauren's breast in the shape of a bite mark. But this bite mark, and this is a little bit strange, wasn't like vertical, how you would imagine a bite mark if someone was being sexually assaulted. This bite mark had actually been done sideways. So as if someone had kind of reached over her body and bit her. And because of this kind of bite-shaped looking mark, the police that recovered her body suggested to the police that took it for autopsy that maybe they should do a rape kit, because a bite mark on the breast is a common sign of rape. But no rape kit was ever done on Lauren Agee. No swabs were taken, no DNA tests, anything like that was ever done on her, despite having a mark on her breast that looked like a bite mark. Okay, so I look a little bit different, and that is because I filmed this video yesterday and then I found out a bunch more information that I want to put in the video. So now it's going to be kind of flicking between me yesterday and me today, and I'm really sorry about that. It's going to get a little bit annoying, but I feel like there is so much important information here that I almost missed. So the reason that police gave for not doing the rape kit on Lauren at the time was because she was wearing a tampon. And if she's wearing a tampon, she can't possibly have been sexually assaulted, which is just not true. A rapist is probably not going to care if she's on a period or not, which she actually wasn't at the time, and that's another weird thing. Yes, she could have been wearing the tampon as more of like a preventative measure because she was at a water sports festival. It's better to be safe and wear one rather than come on while you're doing all these sports and whatever. Or I've read the theory that it could possibly be a decoy from a rapist. They could have possibly put it there so that police would think exactly what they thought. She wasn't sexually assaulted because she's wearing a tampon. And this gets even more believable when you find out that the clothes that Lauren was found in actually weren't hers. Her mother Sherry had never seen those clothes before. And she also didn't look as if she'd dressed herself. So, for example, her bra, or whoever's bra she was wearing, I don't even think that was Lauren's. The strap on the bra that she was wearing was all tangled up, and if you wear bras, you know how uncomfortable that is. If your strap is tangled, you're fixing it straight away. You don't walk around uncomfortable like that all day. So surely Lauren would have fixed it if she would have dressed herself, but also the clasps on the back of her bra, so she had 3 clasps, only the top one was actually fixed. The other 2 were wide open. And if you're going out drinking and doing water sports and stuff, you want to make sure that your bra's not going to come off. Of course she would have fastened all 3 clasps. So one of the theories I saw is that maybe someone dressed her in someone else's clothes and put a tampon in, all to make it look like she hadn't been sexually assaulted. They did, however, do a blood test on Lauren Agee and found that her blood alcohol level was twice the legal limit, which is expected. She was at a festival where everyone was drinking at night. And a common misconception of this case is that there were drugs going around the festival. There were drugs going around the festival and around Lauren's camp, but in her system there were no drugs. So she was just on alcohol, and she wasn't drinking that much. Like, yes, she was 2 times over the legal limit. She was clearly drunk, but she wasn't blackout drunk. She could handle her alcohol well, according to her friends. However, when Lauren's body was looked over by proper pathologists during the autopsy, they concluded that the marks on her back, her shoulders, and even the mark on her breast that looked like a bite mark were actually not from foul play. They believed that these marks were consistent with her maybe falling from the ledge and hitting herself on these rocks on the way down. They didn't think that anyone had done this to her. There was also some crushing to Lauren Agee's throat, which a lot of people think could have been from strangulation before her fall. However, pathologists do believe that maybe she just fell on a rock on her throat. Of course, all of this that I'm saying is down to your interpretation. Whether you believe that the pathologists are correct or not is a completely different thing. Come to your own conclusion. I'm just kind of giving you all the information for you to make your own decision. And as well, with this crushing on her throat, there wasn't enough done for that to be her cause of death anyway. That's fact. Her cause of death was not from the crushing to her throat. But a lot of people think that maybe that was a part of maybe the sexual assault, if there was one. Lauren did also have like scratches and scrapes on her knees and elbows and stuff like that, which would have been consistent with her falling down this ledge to her death. Although again, a lot of people say that despite her having some scrapes and scratches, a lot of people say that she had nowhere near enough to say that she fell down, because the side of this ledge was very rocky. It was a 90 feet drop. It was very rocky. It had twigs and trees and rocks. A lot of people believe that if she had fallen and tumbled down the edge, she would have had a lot more visible kind of scrapes and stuff on her. Lauren also had some other injuries, including a broken nose and broken fingers, which, yes, she could have done as she fell down the side of this ledge, but she also could have done them trying to fight off an attacker. And something else that backs up the theory that there was an attacker is that Lauren was found with 2 huge bruises on her thighs. And the family private investigator believes that maybe these bruises came from maybe someone kneeling on Lauren's legs to try and pin her down, possibly during a sexual assault. So Lauren Agee's cause of death was officially ruled as accidental by drowning. Although obviously that isn't widely believed, otherwise I wouldn't be sat here doing this video on it. A lot of people don't believe that Lauren drowned, and a lot of people don't believe that it was accidental. A lot of people believe that this is a homicide. So the first piece of evidence, and I say evidence lightly, as to why people think that Lauren didn't drown to death is because her body was found floating. And people that drown don't float. As the person is gasping for air, their lungs begin to fill with water and the person sinks normally. That doesn't happen in every single drowning case, although it is most. That is our first red flag. And the fact that Lauren's lungs weren't filled with water suggests that she wasn't gasping for air, and that maybe she was killed before she hit the water. Another concerning thing that was found in Lauren's autopsy was a mark on her stomach in the shape of a triangle. And many people have pointed out that this triangle seems to eerily line up to the edge of a canoe, although that does have a couple of flaws. Not flaws exactly, but it would suggest that Lauren was half in, half out of the canoe. So like her head was inside the canoe, but her legs and the rest of her body were outside. And although Lauren wasn't heavy, she was 105 pounds, it would still cause tipping. That is a whole other human being right on the edge of the canoe. So unless there were 2 other people in that canoe with Lauren, one right on the other edge to kind of balance it out, and then one person paddling in the middle, the boat would have tipped. And Lauren's family and private investigators have done over 50 test drops with dummies that were the same height, weight, shape as Lauren, and they've dropped these dummies off of different points on this ledge where Lauren was camping, and none of them reached the water below. They all kind of landed on ledges or on rocks or anything. None of them actually went into the water to be able to be like moved to that cove where Lauren was found. But who, if anyone, did this to Lauren if this was a homicide? And I'm sure you can guess who our main 3 suspects are: Hannah Palmer, Aaron Lilly and Chris Stout. They were never suspects in the eyes of the law, because in the eyes of the law this was never a suspicious death. It was very quickly ruled as accidental drowning. They were questioned right after Lauren's body was found just to kind of get a bit more information about who Lauren was, how she maybe fell to her death, but they were never questioned as suspects. And all 3 of them weren't shy with offering up any theories that they might have in this case. So Hannah told police that she saw Lauren with an older man that night on a boat, so maybe he had something to do with it. Aaron told police that he believed that Lauren was going to speak to one of her ex-boyfriends that night. And then Hannah changed her story and said she thought that maybe Lauren fell down as she was going to the bathroom on the side of the kind of piece of land, because obviously it was all out in the open, there were no toilets, so the way that they would go to the toilet is by kind of holding onto a tree and leaning backwards. And so Hannah said that maybe she fell while she was doing that. And just a side note, the bathroom theory has been completely discounted. The area where Hannah said that they would all go to the bathroom, where they would all hold on to this tree and like lean back, they've thrown dummies off of there and none of them have landed in the water. They've all kind of landed on a ledge a bit lower down. So had Lauren fallen while she was going to the bathroom, she would have still survived. She would have had a lot of injuries, but she wouldn't have fallen to the water. But my point is that the group were trying to come up with as many theories as they possibly could as to how Lauren died. But by doing that, they just made themselves look even more suspicious, since their stories kept changing over and over again. Like Hannah said she saw her with an older man and said maybe you should look into that older man, maybe he did something. And then she suddenly changed her story and she was crying, saying, well, she probably went to the toilet, she probably fell down the hill. Like, there is such a lack of consistency in their accounts. And once Aaron and Chris returned to the festival, which, by the way, all three of them completely returned to Wakefest fine for the next 2 days. They just carried on partying as they were when Lauren was there. It was as if their friend hadn't just died. Like, they just didn't care. Anyway, when Aaron and Chris returned to the campsite, witnesses up on that ledge recalled there being a campfire lit, which of course could have just been a campfire because that's what people do when they camp, they light campfires. But often in true crime cases, people light campfires to dispose of things that they don't want other people to find out about. But of course, there's no way of telling whose campfire this was or what the intentions with it were. On their way to the first questioning, however, so police had to come over to this ledge where Aaron and Chris and that were to be able to pick them up to take them for questioning. So the first two people taken for questioning were Aaron Lilly and Chris Stout. And the person driving this boat back to the police station said he heard a lot of suspicious things from Aaron and Chris. Aaron Lilly allegedly said to Chris Stout in the back of this boat, he told him to shut up and that he would tell police everything, and he told Chris not to say a single word. Later on, Chris made multiple comments about how he wanted to get off of that boat. He also said to Aaron a few times that he would have to get the gun off of the police officer that was driving the boat. He could hear them the whole time. Chris was saying that he was going to try and get off the boat, but he would have to steal the police officer's gun first and then get off the boat. Obviously, he never tried, but he was saying all of that to Aaron. So months after Lauren's death was officially ruled an accident, her family wanted to look into it with private investigators because they believed there was so much more to this than what police was saying there was. So private investigators began questioning people that knew the three friends, people that knew Hannah, Aaron and Chris. So if you remember Cassie Franks that Lauren went up to and asked if she could stay with that night, Cassie just so happened to be Aaron Lilly's ex-girlfriend, and so she was questioned. Cassie told police that Aaron was a very violent individual and he had abused her during their relationship. He'd been very aggressive, very violent, and that was actually the reason that they eventually broke up. She also showed police a bunch of pictures of her injuries that she received during that relationship, and these included bruises and bite marks, which, if you believe that that mark on Lauren's breast was a bite mark, that is a possible link to say that maybe Aaron did both. But like I said earlier, that mark on Lauren's breast is officially considered to be from her falling, but whether you believe that or not is up to you. Another person questioned was Lauren's friend Jade, who wasn't actually in attendance at Wakefest at the time. She was at home texting Lauren. And on that night, Lauren texted Jade multiple times saying she wasn't having fun, she wanted to go home, and she even asked Jade to come and pick her up. Jade said no because it was very late, it was very dark, and she didn't really know her way to Wakefest. It had a lot of windy roads, so understandably, she didn't want to come and pick her up. And Hannah Palmer actually told police in her initial questioning that Lauren was debating driving herself home drunk that night because she just didn't want to be there. She didn't want to be at Wakefest. And because of this, Hannah, Aaron and Chris took Lauren's car keys from her. Well, that's why they claim they took her car keys from her, for her own safety. However, Lauren had told multiple people at Wakefest that the reason she wanted to leave was because the group were being mean to her. So I don't know if they took the car keys as part of teasing Lauren, whether Lauren was actually going to drive herself home drunk that night, or whether they just took the keys as part of teasing her, as part of trying to annoy her, and then claimed they did that because she said she was going to drive home drunk. There is no kind of concrete proof that Lauren was going to drive herself home that night, only Hannah's word, and obviously Hannah is one of the more questionable people in this video. And the fact that Lauren asked multiple other people to take her home first proves that she knew that she couldn't drive herself. She knew that someone else would have to drive her. Or maybe on the other side of things, maybe Lauren was drunk, maybe she was threatening to drive herself home and they took her keys off her for her own safety, and then Lauren, maybe in this drunk state of mind, maybe she thought that they were just being mean to her, that they weren't letting her drive home, even though it was for her own safety. Another person that was interviewed by private investigators actually has no connection to the group at all. He was just another person that happened to be there that night who believes he saw something suspicious. This man was named Chris Brown. He was staying at the lake with his family, his wife and kids, so he wasn't in attendance at Wakefest. He just happened to be staying by that same body of water where Wakefest was. He said at midnight on the night of Lauren's death, he was outside on the dock when he saw a man swimming towards him. Chris Brown's exact quote was, "I saw a young man climb up on the dock. The young man appeared extremely distraught and worn out. He was spitting up water for several minutes. The young man told me that he almost drowned when he swam back from the camping ledge to the dock." And this young man that Chris Brown believes he saw was Aaron Lilly. Partly because of his physical appearance, obviously, but also because of the swimming shorts that he was wearing that night. A rather common pair of swimming shorts, admittedly, but Aaron Lilly was seen that day at Wakefest wearing knee-length American flag print shorts. And these were also the shorts that the man swimming towards the dock was wearing. Although Chris Brown's account isn't widely believed, some people believe it, some people don't, because of time differences. Chris says that this all took place at midnight, whereas other people claim that they saw all four of them with Lauren still alive at 2 a.m. Okay, so just before I kind of round this case off, I just want to give you a couple of little facts about those three friends, Hannah, Aaron and Chris. Like I said, they carried on at the festival completely fine for 2 more days after Lauren died. And after the festival, when they got home, Chris posted a photo from Wakefest on Instagram with the caption, "Best weekend ever." Also, none of the three of them attended Lauren Agee's funeral. None of them. Not even Hannah, who was a long-term friend of Lauren's. And despite all three of them being the last people to ever spend time with her, none of them went. And a couple of months after Lauren's death, Aaron and Hannah moved in together. They moved to Florida, got a house together, whatever. And around that same time, a lot of mean comments started arising online, both about Lauren, about her death, the circumstances surrounding her death. A lot of untrue statements were surfacing online. And so the family's private investigator tracked down the IP address that was posting these things online, and it tracked back to the exact same street where Hannah and Aaron now live in Florida. So I'll let you decide if that is a coincidence or not. So right now, Lauren's case is closed. It is officially believed to be an accident. Lauren is believed to have fallen from that ledge and drowned that night, although obviously her family believe otherwise. And the timing of this video is so unfortunate. I wish I would have known about this case a couple of months earlier, because the family actually had a change.org petition going to try and get this case reopened, but that actually closed a couple of months ago, just a few thousand signatures short. I'm just so mad at myself that I didn't know about this case a couple of months ago, because if I would have done a video on it, I'm sure a couple thousand of you would have gone and signed that petition for Lauren. But if there is any other developments or another petition or anything like that, I will make sure to let you guys know. And I really, really do hope that they reopen this case, because it is far too suspicious for it to just have been ruled an accident so quickly as well. Like, it's barely even like they looked over any evidence. They were just like, yep, she drowned, that's enough. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Remember that I am going to be doing Christmas giveaways on my Instagram and on my Twitter. They're both on screen right now. I just kind of want to give back to you guys this Christmas, because I've never done giveaways before. I've never wanted to do them on YouTube, because you always end up getting people that are not subscribed to your channel entering the giveaways, and I wanted the giveaways to be just for my subscribers, just for the people that support me. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure you leave a big thumbs up, because that really helps me out, because the algorithm is crap. Subscribe down below if you want to see some more true crime videos from me, because I have so many planned right now. A huge thank you to all of my channel members. All of their names are on screen right now. If you want to become a channel member, you can just click the link in the description, or if you're on a desktop, you can click the join button under the video. If you become a channel member, you'll get your name on this end card, and you'll also have access to a members only community tab where I will ask for case suggestions, do polls to see what cases come next, and you can just have a lot more say in what you see on the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!